Sir, you are muted, sir.
Yes. Okay. Good. I think you put a lot of efforts together, all of you. So,
Yes, sir.
now we've got so Madhu, you have a number of speakers today, no? How many? 14 or 13, 12?
Sir, we have 7 eminent speakers,
Mm-hmm.
6 country interventions.
Okay.
Senegal, Sudan, Benin, Ethiopia, Mali, and Togo.
Mm-hmm.
We have another expert, Mr. Sunil Raj,
Mm-hmm.
who is from Exim Bank of India at Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
He located in Ethiopia. He is also joining us, sir.
Uh-huh.
And the eminent speakers are from France, India, Kenya, Myanmar, Nigeria, Switzerland, and USA.
Very good. So we, whatever time you want to start, let me know.
Mr. Are we ready?
Yeah, we are ready, sir. Senior advisor sir must be joining, sir, now.
I have spoken to him. He will be joining anytime.
Okay, sir. Otherwise, we are ready, sir. We can.
Good. Well, friends and excellencies, I must acknowledge that colleagues have put in a lot of efforts to put it together, and we have come a long way from the days when we, thought of having a program on cooling and heating. It was launched, and then I'm very happy to note that the Assembly also has approved this as a full-fledged program. And in fact, as we come to know more about technologies, you are all experts. In fact, I first heard about Kigali Amendment, but its importance and the dimensions are very important. I'm told that the potential of the cooling program itself, 0.5 degrees Celsius of the global mean temperature. As you know, the Paris Agreement, everything that we are doing is with a single objective of holding the global mean temperature not to rise beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. And cooling alone can keep it down by 0.5 degrees. It means it's a tremendous potential, is there. In fact, you don't know whether you've heard about this Institute for Governance and Sustainable Development, Mr. Durud Jalke, who happens to be the president of this organization, and they, along with International Energy Agency and UNEP, they prepared a report on cooling, and this report is worth reading, and I'm sure we will circulate it to all. But in simply speaking, how do we get this tremendous potential of this program, and why, in ISA we give so much importance to it? Because it is not merely replacing HFCs and other such refrigerants, but the way the demand is growing for cooling. In fact, if you look at today, 3.6 billion cooling appliances we have in the world, and a fair estimate is that by 2050, it will be around 14 billion cooling appliances. Means as the income level goes up, the middle class grows, the demand for cooling goes up. So now 4 to 14, it is not a small rise. And given all these appliances actually work, not only the type of coolant or the refrigerator they use, that is important. Equally important is how efficient are these equipment or the appliances are. So in ISA, in fact, the Assembly has considered whether energy efficiency can be a subject for us. And in this program, we are going to combine not only about the the projects for cooling, but also, how to make these appliances more energy efficient. And it is not merely the astronomical figures of how many billion appliances for cooling we will have, but if you look at its global warming potential. Now, I'm told by 2050, if we can actually make all these things, energy efficient and replace the, implement the Kigali Amendment as such, the CO2 implication for the globe will be some 57.5 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year. And which means over a span of 8 years, we're talking about 460 billion tons of greenhouse, global warming potential replacement. So it is not merely the figures in billions I told, but even the potential in terms of, carbon footprint is huge. So when we talk about this program, today's participants, we are not only talking about merely a program to be implemented with project. We are talking about the future of every one of us. Not only every one of us, our children, their grandchildren. And so we are looking at, how to change the refrigerants and how to implement the Kigali Amendment and how beneficial it is, going to be. And of course, we're talking about in terms of economy of scale or the market implications of all these programs, it can go up to $3 trillion by 2050. If you know that, the 78 trillion, which is the present size of the global economy, 3 trillion out of adding to 78, it actually takes, further and forward. And this morning we had a meeting with the New Zealand, the High Commissioner of New Zealand in India, and he talked about some of those in New Zealand. For example, a research project, that deals with various themes. And of course, we have this cool coalition we have heard about. We have heard about the declaration in Biarritz place for fast action. So in ISA, we focus on three things. We focus on actors, we focus on institutions, and we focus on ideas. So behind this program, and the present objective of this workshop is not merely to bring out knowledge to the floor or to have a course of action that we would like to love to have, but we are trying to identify region-wise, and we have 4 regions, region-wise, which are the main actors who are playing a big role, which are the institutions who are of relevance to this program, and of course, the most important thing has been the ideas. So we would like to create an idea bank, if you can call it so, of cooling and heating mechanisms. There is a tremendous potential. Unlike all of our other programs, this program has implications for the poorest of the poor. When we are talking about the waste of food grain collection, or waste due to lack of cooling or cold storages, we are talking millions of tons of food grain loss in a world where many people still have to meet the standards of food security. And so I would suggest that, this is the program. If we look at our programs, pumps look at farmers, mini grids look at communities, rooftop look at houses, or e-mobility and storage, we look at particular, projects. But this is the program that really touches all communities at all levels. And it has something real, global implication. And when we are talking about climate change and what role ISA would play in short term, in medium term, in long term, this is going to be one of the most important programs. And I'm very happy to say my colleagues have already managed some, projects in Nigeria, and they have also applied for project funding to other institutions. And I'm sure they will meet with great success. And on this occasion, I must tell that the idea of cooling and heating came to ISA through my colleague Jerin, who came from Institute for Governance and ST on Secondment, and she was working with Archana. So both of them came together one day and said, why don't we have something on cooling? And that is how a year back, or a little less, more than a year back, the journey started. And today I'm so happy that Mr. Mahapatra have taken, and Philip, they all have taken this together. And I'm very happy that they have put in place, this workshop, which is going to be very important in terms of knowledge sharing, advocacy, project formulation, and the ideas of, we talk about speed, skill, and scale to bring to this sector, how fast we can do things, how we can replicate it, and what type of skill sets we have to bring in. And this year we are talking about training up to 5,000 stakeholders under each program. And I'm sure we will take that training program also further and forward. We will see in our member countries, our stakeholders, what type of training they need. All that can be delivered in virtual mode. We will partner with, as I told, all the actors, institutions, and bring in all new ideas. And I'm sure ISA is going to play a very big role in this program and make things happen, bring in change and help the world to meet the crisis that we call the climate change. Thank you once again for the opportunity. And I'm very happy to note the number of speakers Mr. Mahapatra, original coordinator, was telling. And I wish you a very good workshop. I'll be present most likely throughout. In the middle, I may go a little here and there, but I'll be in the audio mode. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Respected Director General ISA, honorable speakers from this session who have joined us from various parts of the globe, dignitaries from various member countries, colleagues, friends, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good morning to the friends from Africa and the western part of the globe. Good evening to those from the Far East and Oceania region. I welcome you all to this webinar on solar-powered efficient cold chains being organized by the project group of ISA. This is the second of the series of webinars being organized in relation to ISS initiative on demonstration projects for the ISS, LDC, and SIDS member countries. The webinars are a part of a larger effort towards the knowledge dissemination and capacity building for setting up demonstration projects. As you all are aware, this Sustainable Development Goal number 2 on zero hunger aims to provide universal access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food for all the year round and double the agricultural productivity. Global food production has reached a record high in recent years. However, 1/3 of all the food produced for human consumption is lost or wasted, equivalent to about 1.3 billion tons. In some developing countries, the smallholder farmers regularly lose about 40% of their harvested crop due to inadequate storage. In 2019, nearly 750 million people were exposed to severe levels of food insecurity. In addition, 2 billion people did not have regular access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food in 2019. This has resulted in various severe levels of malnourishment in different parts of the globe. The larger impact of the climate change has increasingly putting the existing food sources at greater risk. The recent outbreak of locust attack in many regions of the world is a testament to growing impact of the climate change. The challenge of ensuring sustainable food production as well as supply is actually twofold. On one hand, we face the challenge of stagnant productivity levels due to continued prevalence of rainwater-dependent agriculture, while on the other hand, the absence of robust supply chain contributes to severe food losses and waste across the globe. In this context, we need efficient cold chain infrastructure. A reliable and efficient cold chain can not only contribute to reducing losses and waste in quantity and quality of food, but can also improve the efficiency of food supply chains and compliance with the food safety and quality standards, thus also reducing health problems, and cost associated with the consumption of unsafe food. Robust, hard-to-retain cold chain solution is required to sustain the growing domestic and export demand. Thus, apart from large cold storage chambers for long-term storage, cooling systems are also required on the farm or in production catchment for horticultural crops, so that produce get cooled in cold storage room during the short-term storage, and at the same time, it can be loaded in the transportation vehicle in cool conditions to reduce wastage during the transportation. While in many countries, cold storage projects have been implemented, they are not being utilized optimally due to unreliable supply of electricity. This is especially true for the small agrarian states, states with fruit and vegetable productions, and also the coastal countries whose economies substantially depend on fisheries and seafood. A sustainable and reliable supply of electricity is crucial for success of cold chains, and since electricity forms one of the largest components of cold storage investment cost. One of the most effective solutions is to power cold chains through solar power. The biggest benefit of solar cold storage unit, reduced dependency on the grid supply or diesel. Low-cost manufacturing and negligible operating cost of solar-powered cold storage facility will increase the shelf life of the fruits and vegetables and make it affordable for many farms across the globe. Some of these will be aptly elaborated by the esteemed line of the speakers, who will explain in broader context the background, technology, financing, business models, and implementation modality in much greater detail. As you are aware, we have a lineup of 7 eminent speakers from various parts of the world, which include France, India, Kenya, Myanmar, Nigeria, Switzerland, and USA. 6 country interventions from Senegal, Sudan, Benin, Ethiopia, Mali, and Togo is also will be there. An expert speaker, Mr. Sunil Raj from Exim Bank of India at Ethiopia, is also joining us. This webinar will help all of us to set up the foundational base to understand the solar cold chain technology in greater details, and eventually to chart out a roadmap for supporting our member countries in their deployment. I'm sure that through the experiences and the insight of various speakers, we all will be able to understand and appreciate the entire ecosystem and need surrounding the solar cold chains. ISA on its part is also keen to support deployment of such projects on ground in various member countries. Finally, I must thank the Director General for his continuous guidance and encouragement in organizing this kind of webinars. With this, I would like to invite the speakers for their presentations. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Prashant Kumar Mahapatra, for setting the context, sir. Now I would request Ms. Helene Rochert, the project manager, Top 10 International Services, Switzerland, and she would be speaking on food loss, sustainable development goals, and energy efficiency related to these cold chain projects. Over to Ms. Helene Rochert, please.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I will be speaking today about food loss, sustainable development goals, and energy efficiency. My name is Hélène Rochert. I'm from Top 10 International Group based in Switzerland, and we focus on the promotion of energy efficient appliances. So first of all, what is food loss? Well, food loss is the decrease in the quantity or quality of food resulting from decisions and action by food suppliers in the chain, excluding retailers, food service providers, and consumers. In that case, we talk about food waste. As mentioned in the background presentation, it is estimated that 1/3 of all food produced globally is lost or goes to waste. And this is not only a tragedy in itself, this waste, but the decomposition of this food loss and food waste generates also a lot of methane gases that are powerful greenhouse gases. So contribute to global warming. What is closely related to cold chains and food loss is food safety. And for this, cold chains play a very large role. To give you an idea, 600 million people, almost 1 in every 10 people worldwide, fall ill after eating contaminated food.
Ellen, your
sorry,
slide is not moving.
slide is,
Is it okay now?
no, it's stationary now. Can you just move it, please? Yeah, now
Is it
it's
better like
set.
this? I will make
Yeah.
it larger. Like, I'll keep it like this then. Of these 600 million people, 420,000 die of the consequences of these illnesses, which include 125,000 children underneath of the age of 5 years. To give you an idea of the potential of what a cold chain would bring, fresh meat has a shelf life of 1 day or less at ambient temperatures of 20 or 30 degrees. That is the perfect temperature for the growth of bacteria. With cooling, the shelf life can be extended to 10 days. So how does this fit in with the UN Sustainable Development Goals? There is at the moment no goal that directly is about cooling, but sustainable and cold chains indirectly play a role in achieving many of these goals. So out of the 17 goals we have, there's at least 10 goals where cold chains play a very large role. If we look at them in more detail, SDG goal number 1, cold chains improve the income of fishermen and farmers by allowing them to get better prices for their goods and reducing food waste. They have more time to sell these goods, and with transportation, cooled transportation means they can also bring the goods to places where they can get better prices. Zero hunger. Refrigeration improves food security by extending its shelf life. It is also a way to reduce waste, increase income in farming and fishing community, and leads to more stable food prices. It helps to have a more resilient food supply system. We've seen that with the food safety component. It contributes to good health and well-being. It reduces the risk of getting food poisoning. But also, it also provides the supply of medication and vaccine that have to be cooled. And this also helps avoiding the loss of these precious medication. Cold chains that are powered by solar energy is a sustainable solution. It is a great way of using renewable energies. In the context of more people moving to urban cities, food security in these cities is critical. And for this, there has to be a functioning cold chain. Responsible consumption and production. Food and vaccine loss are reduced through proper access to refrigeration and cold chains. 1/3 of food waste that we have today is not a responsible use of our resources and can be improved, should be improved. The contribution to the climate action, the use of solar power, energy efficiency, low GWP refrigerants, low global warming potential refrigerants that are in the appliances, reduce the impact on global warming. Impact number 15, life on land. With less food loss, we also need less land to provide the same amount of food that reaches the end consumer. This has a positive impact on land degradation and deforestation. And then finally, peace, justice, and strong institutions, a reliable access to food, and that is helped with cold chains, prevents potential sources of conflicts. We've seen in cases where prices have spiked, that creates some social unrest. So what is the role here of energy efficiency in solar powered cold chains, and why is it extremely important? Solar energy and electricity coming from solar energy is a precious resource and should not be wasted on inefficient equipment. In the use phase, for example, the benefits of having energy efficient appliances is that not only this precious electricity can be used for something else, and in general, energy efficient appliances provide financial economic benefits because we save on the cost of electricity. And in cases of solar power cold chains, if we have a battery that is hooked onto our appliance with a backup diesel generator, a more efficient appliance will use less diesel. So it is also financially positive to have energy efficient appliances. There are many appliances out there, and there are very large differences in between the energy efficiency, in between models, even in between new models. So the initial choice will determine how much energy we will be using for the next 8 to 10 years, 15 years. And in cases of energy efficient products, we've seen that the payback period can be as low as 3 years. So this makes a lot of financial sense as well. What does this look like? I have here 2 examples that show the impact of energy efficient appliances. In the first case, we've compared 3 new appliances of refrigerator for sales in supermarkets. And there's one example of the energy consumption of a unit with no lid, one with a lid, and then an energy efficient appliance with a lid. And you can see that even though the energy efficient appliance is the biggest, it has the largest volume, it consumes 1/3 of what the inefficient appliance consumes, and almost 1/7 of the appliance without any lid. And this is translated also in financial savings. The financial savings over here, we've taken a period of 8 years, are significant. This is for a refrigerator. If we're talking about a freezer, the savings would be even larger. A second example is an example of market transformation in Ghana. A case study has showed that after the ban of used household refrigerators, the average energy consumption of a refrigerator dropped from 1,200 kilowatt hours per year to 380 kilowatt hours per year. And this corresponds to a yearly saving of $95 per unit per year. The payback period in this case for a new unit was 3 years. And this has been achieved with the enforcement of regulation and the ban of old secondhand appliances that were imported from other countries or sold domestically. So in the case of a solar-powered cold chain, what are the additional benefits of having energy-efficient appliances in place? Such a product will consume less energy. So that also means that the battery that this product will need will be smaller and therefore less expensive. And also less surface is needed to generate the electricity for the appliance. So this also has an impact on the installation costs of the products and has to be included in the whole assessment of the cost when making such an installation. The defining factor of whether of an investment should be based on the life cycle cost of the product, not on the upfront cost that can be for energy efficiency higher, but they do pay off in the long run. For this, there are possibilities to have financing mechanisms that can address these problems, such as loans, subsidies, and bulk procurement. These can be used together or separately to tackle this initial barrier. So to conclude, what would be a perfect solution according to Top 10 no, to promote energy efficiency? What would be the 3 steps? It would be first to ban inefficient products. This can be done through the minimum energy performance standards, MEPS. These measures are the most cost-effective way to promote energy efficiency. And it's important to replace old appliances when doing so. Some appliances are over 20 years old and they continue to work. And it is important to remove these appliances from the market. Then there would be the promotion of financing mechanisms to overcome this barrier of the initial costs with subsidies, loans, and bulk procurements. It also takes a lot of work to convince the people to take these steps. And for this reason, it is also important to provide information and education to the farmers, the people who will be using this technology, to persuade them that it will be good for them in the long run, and to also get them more comfortable with these new solutions and technologies. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Ms. Helene, to bring out the importance of cold chains in the economic and sustainable development, and also to bring out the energy efficiency. Many thanks for bringing out that. So now I request Mr. Didier Coulomb, Director General, International Institute of Refrigeration, to talk on reducing the food loss and simultaneously achieving climate goals under the Montreal Protocol and the Paris Agreement. So over to Mr. Didier Coulomb. Floor is yours, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is it okay? Do you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Is it possible to have the slides, my slides, on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So next slide. Yes. I will be very short regarding the beginning of the sentence, reducing food loss, because Hélène Rocha already presented you that very important issue. And of course, I totally agree with the various information she gave regarding food loss and also energy efficiency. So I would like to present the general framework, the general international framework, climate goals of the Montreal Protocol and the Paris Agreement compared to these very important challenges of food losses and energy efficiency. Next. Yes. So I will first introduce the International Institute of Refrigeration, IIR, then the Paris Agreement, then the Montreal Protocol and the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol, and then I will give you a short conclusion. Next. So about us. Next. Well, we are a relatively old intergovernmental organization founded in 1908, and we are based on technology, and our aim is to disseminate and promote knowledge on all refrigeration technologies and uses. So it was the mission at the beginning, it is still the mission, and it is a very important mission, especially now. Next. Well, Our goals, our key domains, are food quality and safety from farm to consumer, and Elena Rocha explained you how it is important, but also comfort in homes and commercial buildings, the very important issue of air conditioning, health products and services, and the example regarding vaccines was a very good one. Low temperature technology and liquefied gas technology, for instance, liquefied natural gas, and energy efficiency and the use of non-ozone depleting and low global warming refrigerants in a safe manner. And clearly, all these domains are linked with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Next. So we have an international network with 59 member countries, with about 1,000 corporate and private members, and more than 400 experts. So a very important international network. Next. So what do we do? Next. So we have a database with more than 100,000 online references from all over the world on all the different technologies and users. We have the best scientific journal in its field, the International Journal of Refrigeration. We publish informatory notes for decision makers, conference papers, because we organize a lot of international conferences, and we publish also books and guides and policy briefs. We have a whole of sector monitoring. We are involved in various research and development projects. We have various documents, reference documents, such as the International Dictionary of Refrigeration, publish a monthly newsletter, an expertise directory, a laboratory directory, and of course, personalized seed search service for our members and e-alerts. Next. Next slide, please. Yes, and some of our mentor notes, I would like to mention, because some of them, which are very directly linked with the issue today, are informatory note, the role of refrigeration in worldwide nutrition in June 2020, which will be completed end of this year, but by an analysis of the links of food losses and the refrigeration impact, the environmental impact, comparing food loss and not food loss, and the role of the cold chain regarding environment. The latest one in 2019, the role of refrigeration in global economy. In 2017, the impact of refrigeration sector in climate change, and so on. Next. So the Paris Agreement. What is the main important issue we have to keep in mind? It is based on nationally determined contributions to be revised in 2020. In reality, these nationally determined contributions are defining the national strategies of each country for the future. It was proposed in 2015, just before the Paris Agreement. It has now to be revised. It will be in reality revised in 2021, because it should be presented to the next Conference of the Parties on Climate Change, which was postponed from November 2020 to November 2021. And it is very important to revise these national determined contributions for two reasons. First, because they are not enough to avoid an increase of the temperature higher than plus 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in this century. And secondly, because they are not really detailed, and especially refrigeration, air conditioning, cold chain for food, and so on, are not really enough included in these nationally determined contributions. So we have to precise these NDCs in all the countries. And all the countries must revise their strategies, including the refrigeration sector. And it is now possible because refrigeration is now at the top of the agenda of the United Nations bodies. And now we have to implement this international strategy, this international goal, to national goals. The reasons are the following ones. Next. Next slide, yes. First, the energy consumption. The refrigeration sector, including the cold chain for food and health products, air conditioning, heat pumps, cryogenics, represents 20% of the worldwide electricity consumption, and electricity, as you know, is mostly produced by fossil fuels. Thus, we have two consequences. We have to use renewable energies, such as solar energy, of course, and it is perfectly possible for new equipment. And secondly, energy efficiency must be improved thanks to innovation and regulations constraints such as labelization. It was already presented before, so I will not insist more on that, but it is very important to remind that. Renewable energies, solar energy, and energy efficiency. Secondly, because of the impact of fluorinated gases. They currently represent about 2.6% of CO2 equivalent emissions compared to energy consumption, which is twice more. It is, however, important. I mean, it is the same kind of importance as, for instance, airplanes. Thus, the answer is clear. It is the Kigali Amendment, and I will present you afterward the Kigali Amendment because it has a very important also consequence of the impact of fluorinated gases. And thirdly, the importance of food losses. Reducing them to refrigeration is a key issue for food security and health. It was already presented, and it could also mitigate global warming. And as I told you, we will give more detailed information very soon. Next. So you have also to take into account the fact that refrigeration, air conditioning especially, is also a tool for adaptation to global warming. And it is a reason that we will continue to increase the use of refrigeration, of air conditioning all over the world. Needs of refrigeration are constantly increasing because of the increasing population, particularly human population in developing countries, because of the increase of health and economic development needs, and because of adaptation to global warming. So thus, in any case, refrigeration technologies and users will increase, and that increase must be sustainable. Next. So, the initial aim of the Montreal Protocol is to restore the stratospheric ozone layer, and it is successful. It will be restored within about 40 years, thanks to the phase out of CFCs and marginally to other substances, such as hydrochlorofluorocarbons at CFCs. CFCs are now phased out, even if there are still the problems of the banks. HCFCs might be phased out within 10 years, and unfortunately, they are often replaced by hydrofluorocarbons, HFCs, which are potent greenhouse gases. And clearly, replacing HCFCs by high GWP HFCs will not improve the climate situation, and we will miss an opportunity to mitigate climate change. Next. So we have the Kigali Amendment, which entered into force in January 2019 and creates several categories of countries. Developed countries, and the EU is a pioneer since it already started to phase down hydrofluorocarbons. Developing countries, except Gulf countries and some South Asian countries, which are in another category, other developing countries. And we also have the case of hot countries, especially for statutory air conditioning. Next. So, yes, please, the previous one. Yes, you have here a table of the Kigali Amendment. I will not go into details. It is important, however, to understand that A2 countries, developed countries, will start their phase down of HFCs in 2019, already started. For A5 countries, developing countries, it will start in 2024 or 2028 with a freeze of their CO2 equivalent emission, production and consumption. So it is relatively soon, and we have to prepare all the countries to this phase down of HFCs. However, as you know, HCFCs will be phased out in 2030. So we have a period, the next 10 years, which are very important. We have to phase out HCFCs at the same time to phase down HFCs, or to prepare to phase down HFCs. So it is very important to now take into account that and to start to replace high global warming potential HFCs and HCFCs by low global warming potential refrigerants or other technologies. Next. So solutions already exist. We have natural refrigerants such as hydrocarbons. For instance, hydrocarbons is already very well used in domestic refrigerators in Europe or in India or in China. It is fast developing. CO2 as a refrigerant. Ammoniac is also a very good refrigerant, very efficient refrigerant, and also marginally air or water. We have low GWP hydrocarbons, and especially hydrofluoroolefins, which have a low global warming potential refrigerant. We have other technologies, such as vapor compression systems. Absorption, which is also a technology which can be used for solar energy, magnetic cooling, or other kinds of marginal technologies. We have a lot of solutions. Next. Conclusion. First, mitigating global warming and adapting to global warming are urgent. Currently, we are not in the right direction. We have to clearly increase our efforts. Secondly, refrigeration has a key role to play, and it is now well recognized by the United Nations. The IAEA is working with the various United Nations bodies and also, of course, the International Solar Alliance to do it. We have agreements and with UNEP, UNIDO, the World Bank. All these organizations are clearly committed to help all the countries, especially developing countries, to meet these challenges. Refrigeration is necessary for life. We need a food security, we need health, for instance, the vaccines for COVID-19, and those refrigeration needs are dramatically increasing and will continue to increase. Reducing food losses is possible thanks to refrigeration, and it is necessary for feeding the planet, and we are working with the FAO for that. Solar energy is the energy of the future. I'm very convinced on that. It is an energy which is widely available, and now costs of solar energy are fast decreasing. So it is the energy of the future, and solar cooling is possible. We have the technology to do that. So the IAEA, in partnership with ISA, the International Solar Alliance, will help you. Next. So I invite you to become a member of the International Institute of Refrigeration in order to obtain all the various services. Next. We have a new IAEA website, and I invite you to consult this IAEA website, not only to become a member, but just to see all the information and much more details than I explained you. Next. So thank you very much. And of course, I'm at your disposal for any more explanations. Thank you very much.
So many thanks, Mr. Coulomb, to bring out the framework of the Montreal Protocol and the Kigali Amendment, all which is very important for the achieving the climate goals. With that, now I move on to Mr. Devendra Gupta, Ecozone Solutions from Ecozone Solutions. So because we were talking about cold chains, now the integration with the solar-powered clean cold chain technologies are very important. How do we integrate solar with the cold chain arrangements? So with that, I request Mr. Devendra Gupta, Ecozone Solution, to give your presentation. Over to Mr. Gupta. You are muted, Mr. Gupta.
Thanks a lot, Ramesh Kumar. My greetings to all the dignitaries, especially Dr. Tripathi. Sir, I think it's glad to be presenting Mr. Mahapatra, and I think Gyani sir, Zerin, and all the other member countries, representatives, and other speakers. So I think it's glad to see this day wherein we are all talking about sustainable cooling. And I think we've been trying to work in this space since 2014. And I would love to share what we have done around the solar cooling, solar cold rooms, and how is it really impacting the farmers' lives. So I hope you can see my slides.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ecozen is working to enable the farm to fork value chain for perishables. When we say perishables, we mean perishable fruits, vegetables, and flowers. We started off in 2010, 2011 by helping farmers with sustainable irrigation. We provided them solar irrigation solutions and have deployed them on more than 35,000 farms so far. We also started providing them the solar cooling solutions because the farmers told us that while we have helped them grow and produce more, they are not able to keep that commodity fresh and they have to sell it for lower prices. So if we realized it is important that not just the production happens, but whatever is produced reaches to the market as well. And we're also helping them with market linkage platform today. We have helped farmers this year to take their produce from Shimla to Bangalore, from Muzaffarpur in Bihar to Mumbai and so on. So this is very quickly about our journey. When we started off with solar irrigation, we realized the irrigation is a problem. We built a solar irrigation solution. This is one of the early farmers whom we helped. And this is his farm which was transformed after 18 months. And it was very satisfying. But what we found out is that the same farmer is losing a lot of his produce due to the low price in his location due to overproduction. And he was not able to take his produce from his local region to far off market, nor be able to buffer it and keep it for a longer duration. And we as a country lose a large value and the large amount of produce, which also can be fed to many poor and needy people. Also, it can help us reduce the greenhouse gas emissions if we're able to abate this food loss. So we built Ecofrost, which is a solar based cooling solution. And it can help the farmers keep their produce fresh for a longer duration on the farm, also pre-cool it and send it to much farther markets. The unit is around 20 feet container size, and it can maintain temperatures in the range of 4 to 15 degrees Celsius now. It is portable. You can move it from one place to another. We have deployed it on lease models as well for the farmers. We have filed around 9 patents for this technology. The system does not use lithium ion or low maintenance lead acid batteries for backup. Instead, it uses thermal energy storages, which is a different way of storing energy, which is more efficient than your battery mechanism. I would come to its detail a bit more later. Meanwhile, I will share a very quick video for you all to look at.
India is an agrarian country. Farmers here, depending upon the soil and climate, grow a variety of crops. Be it any crop or region, every farmer hopes to get good returns once the crop is harvested. But if the market is down, they don't get the rates that they truly deserve. At such times, if farmers can keep their crops in a cold storage, they can wait and sell them till the prices are right. Ecofrost Technologies has developed a similar cold storage for farmers that run on solar energy. Ecofrost.
इसको इस्तेमाल करना बहुत ही आसान है। फसल कोई भी हो, बस बटन दबा दो, सारी सेटिंग अपने आप हो जाती है। बस
बिजली की जरूरत नहीं है, सोलर चलता है, कोई खर्चा नहीं। बिना धूप के 36 घंटे का बैकअप है, इसलिए कोई फिक्र नहीं। खास बात यह है कि इसमें कोई बैटरी का झंझट नहीं।
आज मेरे खेत में है, कल इसे मैं दीपक के खेत में ले जा सकता हूँ। यह पोर्टेबल है, बहुत ही आसान तरीका है इसको ले जाने का। इसमें तमाम सेंसर लगे हुए हैं। इसका तापमान हम दूर से भी अपने मोबाइल में, अपने उपकरणों में देख सकते हैं। पूरी खबर रहती है और इस पे कंपनी के लोग भी नजर रखते हैं। जरूरत पड़ने से पहले ही ये लोग दिशा निर्देश दे देते हैं।
Ecofrost Technologies was established in 2010 by 3 IIT Kharagpur alumni. Using latest technology, Ecofrost is taking the Indian food storage to the next level using clean and green energy. That's why Ecofrost has been awarded many national and international awards. Through intelligent control system, Ecofrost sets the system temperature and humidity according to the commodity stored inside it and maintains it over a period of time. It can also pre-cool the produce rapidly, thus increasing their shelf life, and farmers can export the harvest to different markets.
अब कोई भी सब्जी उगाए तो सीधा कोल्ड स्टोरेज, माल सड़ेगा, कम दाम मिलेगा, कोई टेंशन नहीं। इकोफ्रॉस्ट
इन लोगों ने बढ़िया ऐप भी बनाई है जिससे चलता है, और उस ऐप से ये भी पता चलता रहता है कि इसका बढ़िया भाव कब मिलेगा। हम तभी बेचते हैं जब बढ़िया भाव मिलता है, अधिक मुनाफा होता है।
हम 3 दोस्तों ने मिलकर इकोफ्रॉस्ट खरीदा था है, इसे हम लोग खुद इस्तेमाल करते हैं या किराए पे उठा देते हैं।
जो अनाज सड़ जाने के डर से 30 गुना बेचते थे, अब 2 महीने रुककर 60-70 गुना बेचते हैं। टमाटर तो फेंकने की नौबत आ जाती थी, लेकिन अब तो बर्बादी का सवाल ही नहीं है। अब वक्त बदल रहा है, खेती बदल रही है, यकीन नहीं होता कि अपना खुद का कोल्ड स्टोरेज है, अपना इकोफ्रॉस्ट।
Okay, so yeah, I think that was a brief on the overall model and how it is actually helping some of the customers. I think this is a pretty old video. We have evolved significantly. The product has also evolved now. But just to give you a brief, in terms of ensuring efficiency, what all we are doing, the insulation is much thicker to account for that efficiency should be higher so that the solar economic energy is used economically. We do not use batteries. In batteries, whenever the electricity converts to a chemical energy and then back into electrical and then into thermal, there is an extra loss of energy because of the number of paths it is taking. We instead use thermal energy storages. We straight away convert electricity into cooling instead of going via the chemical energy route. And that helps us maintain a much higher efficiency as compared to a battery-based system. And yes, it is of course solar powered. So in terms of how do we bring about more efficiency? We install solar panels on the rooftop. The heat exchanger design is such that the thermal energy storages are giving that energy out to the basic room itself. There are passive cooling techniques also that we are using, and we plan to introduce a controlled atmosphere technology in the future. So a very quick run through of how the system works. There is sunlight which falls on the PV system, which generates a DC power, and that powers the refrigeration system, and that charges the thermal energy storage, which again powers the box. And there's a control system which is controlling all of this from the top. So this is a broader, very simple application of technology. We're using solar energy and storing it in thermal energy storages and using that to keep the room cold. That is broadly a very simple application of converting water to ice and then back from ice to water. Also, another aspect which we have done is we have built a motor algorithm which allows our motors to operate at much higher RPMs. If you talk to the compressor manufacturers, they will tell you that if a compressor motor is operating about 67 Hertz, the motor current will exceed and the motor will burn out. But we've been successfully able to take the compressor motors up to 87 Hertz, thereby allowing us to harness this particular part of the solar energy envelope, whereas the normal compressors would cut off at this particular frequency or this particular percentage of the RPM. So we're able to capture the complete amount of solar energy which is being generated. And so the blue curve is what Ecofrost is able to harness, and the red curve is red area is what the other variable frequency compressors are able to harness. This is because of an algorithm that we have developed, which allows us to motor to go on to a higher hertz without burning out. Also, this is the earlier technology which we had, wherein we had these thermal energy storage plates inside the room. And so these are the eutectic plate technology. And there is another technology, which is a thermal energy storage technology, which is a tank-based storage. Okay, so we have kind of combined these two. While over here, the efficiencies were much higher, the controllability was a challenge. Here, the controllability was great, but efficiency was lower due to two loops. So this is one loop where you're charging the thermal storage, another loop where the thermal storage is charging the evaporator inside, and then the evaporator to the air. So here we've been able to eliminate that, and this is the new Ecofrost Link that we have brought about. Here, there are plates of thermal energy storage on which the air flows in and then air comes out, and which maintains higher efficiency and better controllability. So this is the Ecofrost Link. It can deliver wider temperature range, better controllability, higher efficiency, has no moving parts practically, the cost is low, and the real estate required is also low, versus our own eutectic plate technology and the tank-based TAS technology. Yeah. So you can take the link and convert any room with solar panels into a solar cold room. We can deliver 5 tons, 10 tons, 15 tons, 20 tons. We're also building a smaller 2 metric ton unit for smaller holder farmers. Spent a lot of time mulling about the Montreal Protocol, the Kigali Amendment, the efficiency, the availability, the practical aspects, and we have chosen R407F amongst the various other refrigerants. Okay, because R407F, if you look over here, is delivering a higher efficiency, has almost close to a zero ozone depletion potential, though it has some GWP at this point in time, but the better variants really could be R450 or 1234YF or 1234ZE. And we plan to move on to them as their availability and stability becomes more proven, because some of them are flammable. Okay, so if you look at R450A, the efficiency is almost half that of R407F. Okay, and that is the other option we could have looked at, but the efficiency is a problem. So we are actually waiting for 1234YF and 1234ZE to become more commonplace and mainstream to move on to that. So this is the app which comes with the system, wherein you can actually control the temperature of the room just by choosing the commodity and the quantity of it. And the system will program itself and deliver the right temperature and humidity and cooling conditions. We also have remote monitoring and predictive analysis. We have ecozen.ai, wherein all the data comes remotely. And this is like an example. This is solar energy getting generated. And this is like 10 a.m. to 6 a.m., 6 p.m. And if you see, the room temperature is maintained at 5 degrees all throughout for the 24 hours without any other power. So grid consumption is 0, solar consumption is 8 units. And we monitor all the units that we have deployed through this particular manner. For example, even the smallest possibility of refrigerant leak is diagnosed remotely by the data analytics, and we are able to get a probability distribution that which of the systems at a higher probability of refrigerant leak. So we are using this kind of technology to ensure the highest possible reliability for our systems. So how does this really help the farmers? It helps them pre-cool their produce on the farm and then use cold chain to reach out to farther markets. It also helps them that if you have reached out to farther markets and the demand in the farther market is less, so you can stage the produce. So say if you send 6 tons in a truck and the demand is only 2 tons, you can sell it over 3 days by staging it in the cold room. So that is how this really helps. This is the example of one of the farmers in Ahmednagar who's used our product. And he was able to sell his produce for 25 rupees during the Pitru Paksh time for 200 rupees per kg. He was also able to send his produce to Hyderabad, which is 600 kilometers away, without his chrysanthemum master marigold spoiling. In a period of 3 months, which he took the unit on lease, he was able to earn around 5 lakh rupees more. Some of these are our customers today, like Udan, Big Basket, Farmlink, Socofresh in Kenya, are our customers. There is also buyers of a commodity of our farmers like Reliance, Future, Retail, Big Basket. This is our current, the spread across the world. Out of the 340 renewable energy-based cooling units installed for fruits, vegetables, flowers across the world by around 10 players, 200 of them today belong to us. This is also because we have been one of the earliest players in the market. This is some of the, we won the Operate Cold Chain Challenge by the Global Leap. and efficiency for access. We demonstrated a unit in Kenya, and our unit was chosen to have the highest technical performance. This is also a testimonial from Neu, who is also present over here, who's our customer, esteemed customer based out of Myanmar, who is using Ecofrost to cool chilies, which he is processing in Myanmar at this point in time, which is an ISA country. This is some of the recognition that we have received. You can see over here, this is Pankaj Mehta from Carrier, Ashok Dalwaiji, Pavanesh Kohli, Ravichandran from Danfoss, and Thaigajan from Blue Star. The complete cold chain industry has chosen this innovation in 2017 as one of the best innovations. The technology was funded by DSIR and DST, and they also did a due diligence and an impact assessment report as to how the technology is really helping the farmers. And if that is required for you guys for reference, we can share that with you. These are some other testimonials. Somebody doing figs was able to sell it for almost twice the price after storing. Big Basket did cherries. They picked it up from Himachal and brought it to Bangalore, and they were able to bring cherries to their customers, which were fresher. This is another similar customer as Raju Nawale, Somnath Jagdale, who was able to sell his chrysanthemum for 90 rupees versus 15 rupees that he was getting earlier. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm sorry, I might have exceeded the time a bit.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for a detailed, including the video, to share your solution, which you are impressively giving. So now I request Mr. Nimake Ignou. He's the CEO of Cold Hubs Nigeria. This is innovative cooling as a service. So it's a very, very interesting cooling as a service. His company is giving that. So I would request Mr. Nimake Ignou to give the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Good. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Good morning,
yeah,
good
please.
afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to join this webinar. So over the next few minutes, I will quickly talk about our work at Cold Hubs, deploying solar-powered cold storage and offering cooling as a service to smallholder farmers in Nigeria. But real quickly, as an introduction, my name is Nnameki Ikegwono. I'm a farmer, a radio presenter. My first venture, Smallholders Foundation, I founded in 2003. And is actually an organization that uses radio to educate people. In 2007, I built a small community radio station doing agriculture and spending 30% of my time at the studio and the other 70% sitting down with farmers to identify challenges and opportunities within the space. And actually, it was in the course of my travels that I discovered the problem of food spoilage due to lack of cold storage at key points within the food supply chain. The Rockefeller Foundation, through its food waste and spoilage initiative, said the problem affects 93 million smallholder farmers, and they lose about 25% of their income in Nigeria. But in the course of my travels, it's a normal sight to see oranges and tomatoes, watermelon, pineapples dumped on the roadside because farmers cannot even extend the shelf life and keep that food as long as possible until they come to sell. This problem exists because refrigeration is not existent. The power grids are not capable to deliver reliable energy, and most of the equipment are too large and way out of possibility of farmers actually affording it. So that was why in 2015, I and my colleagues founded Cold Hubs as a company that designs, builds, operates, and maintains these 100% solar-powered walk-in cold rooms. You know, each of the cold rooms generates about 6 kilowatts of energy, storing up to 3 tons of food inside it, and is well suited to be installed in the middle of the farms, in horticultural produce, aggregation centers, and outdoor food markets, you know, bringing refrigeration closer to people that actually need that refrigeration. So each of them is actually well designed to meet the specific weather conditions of the area. We try to demonstrate 100% green cooling by integrating RO290 propane refrigerant monoblock refrigerating units, and we store energy in batteries for night, rainy, and cloudy days cooling. But, you know, aside deploying technology, when we came into the space, we discovered that it is way above a solution that technology can actually solve. we saw that there is almost non-existent knowledge on the importance of post-harvest management and the need to actually have cooling to extend shelf life. So we started to do education around post-harvest management, teaching farmers everything from the best practices in harvesting to the financial value of having high quality food available for sale in the market over a long period of time. And it was actually the educational component that changed the game for us, because when we sit down with farmers to take them over a course, 12 model classes, they actually start to use the code room after the last day of training. But basically what Code Hub sets out to do is to extend the shelf life of food from 2 days to 21 days, giving farmers, retailers, and wholesalers an opportunity to haggle on prices and sell when they are comfortable with the price, and also to SMEs and food aggregators the opportunity to aggregate food and supply to supermarkets and other shopping malls. So over the past 3 years, we are really a small company. We deployed 24 hubs. We are building about 30 hubs right now. Last year, we saved up to 20,400 tons of food from spoilage. We have 3,517 customers, and they've been able to increase their income. We created employment for about 28 women as our hub operators, and we been able to save more than 460,000 kilograms of CO2 by, using all solar panels exclusively and not using diesel in any of our cold rooms. So from the operational perspective, each code hub is actually creating 2 jobs for women. One is a hub operator who oversees the loading and offloading of food, and another one, a hub attendant who actually deepens our educational classes and actually does business development in sites that we installed cold rooms. The uniqueness of Cold Hub's model is cooling as a service, and the ability to liberalize cooling and democratize it, and taking the risk of ownership of a cold room out from farmers and wholesalers and retailers, and actually building it out on our own cost exclusively and offering them an opportunity to pay as they use. So right now we are charging 50 cents equivalent in US dollar to store 1 kilogram plastic crate inside the cold room. And each of these cold stations can actually take about 150 of those 20 kilogram plastic crate. So from a business perspective, it can earn up to 75 US dollar in revenue. But the goal of cooling as a service is to actually liberalize cooling, because we were working with people really at the base of the pyramid, and they told us from day one that they cannot pay upfront for the service, for the technology, and they cannot even pay us to put together a technology of such for them. So we took the risk of owning the technology of them, and we use our remote monitoring systems to monitor the conditions and preempt maintenance for each of the cold stations. So right now, based on the reception we've received in Nigeria, we are now expanding all across the country. We are putting together 30 new cold hubs all across Nigeria. We think we will end 2020 with about 54 cold rooms. 49 was when this presentation was put together. But right now we are anticipating up to 54 cold hubs. So because that expansion is going on, most of our customers have actually requested for logistics services. So in 2021, in the first quarter, Cold Hubs will be launching Cold Hub Logistics, specially designed to move food from cold rooms in the north of Nigeria and bring it all the way down to cold rooms in the south of Nigeria. And that is how food is being moved at the moment. There is non-existent refrigerated transportation services, and food, tomatoes, and several other perishables are packaged in raffia baskets. And these raffia baskets, they have needles, and by the time you put a tomato, the needle punctures the tomato, and the nutrients of the food is actually lost before the food gets to the outdoor food market. We've tried a pilot. It's worked very well. And After that pilot, we are now positioning to expand. The pilot was with a very small refrigerated van. And now we think the best option is to increase it and have these 10-ton refrigerated trucks attached to all our cold hub stations so that it quickly mops up food from farmers, retailers, and wholesalers based on a cooling as a service model too, not that they are going to rent it comprehensively. They are going to pay for the service based on the amount of crates they want to move from point A to point B. Over in our work across Nigeria, the need for refrigerated trucks is increased. It's something that is very much needed because once you have a refrigerated warehouse out there, the next thing is that you need to continue cooling because it's a cold chain. If you pick up tomatoes stored inside the cold room and move it to the market using a non-refrigerated truck, spoilage, acceleration. So that's actually the model that we are looking at.
Can I request for muting? Yeah, thank you. Please. Yeah, please carry on. Yeah.
Thank you. So related to refrigerated trucking services and having a full cold chain, one of the things that has actually come up in the course of our work in Nigeria is the need for crates, nestable crate for packaging fruit and vegetables, because some of the farmers have seen, they always say that seeing is believing. Most of them who have been able to start transferring food in plastic crates have seen that they have actually reduced the spoilage of the food because the raffia baskets and the jute bags create bruises around the food and accelerate spoilage. And more so for the fact that for you to store food inside the cold rooms and inside refrigerated trucks, you actually need to put them in stackable plastic crates. And so that is also where Cold Hubs is looking at in the course of our expansion next year. I just wanted to make this presentation as short as possible. The team behind Cold Hubs includes myself, CEO, supported by Bright, who oversees our operations, and Maxwell, who actually builds and maintains and remotely monitors all of our cold rooms, and Teres, who does our financials and administration, supported by very experienced board of directors who have experience in gas and also finance and economics, and incredible array of partners who have supported Cold Hub, from venture investors to international development partners in the course of our 5-year growth at the moment. So in a nutshell, that is Cold Hubs and the work we are doing. My email is nnameka@coldhubs.com. I'll be very happy to receive questions and answer anyone. Thank you very much.
So many thanks, Mr. Iguanu. It was very interesting, and you have brought out the potential cooling as a service. It was very, very interesting. So now, after talking about the policy and the solutions, now let me move to another important element, which is the funding and the innovative funding, which is very critical. So I would request Ms. Rim Azira, Senior Investment Officer, Sun Funders, who have come out with a very innovative funding for Kenya. So over to you, Ms. Rim Azira, for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. I'll just share my screen. And please let me know when you can see my presentation.
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So again, thank you very much, everybody, and I'm very pleased to be in this panel. My name is Rim Azira. I am indeed the Senior Investment Officer at Sunfunder. Just to give you maybe a little background about myself before jumping into Sunfunder, and that will also explain also why this topic is close to my heart and convictions. Before being actually in the solar financing, I was in the agricultural financing world, where I've spent at Responsibility, another company or another impact investor in the space, little bit over 4 years financing agricultural companies on the African continent. So it is topics that are sort of known to me and close to my understanding. So hence the interest that I have personally developed in trying to bring those two worlds together, solar and agri. So to start off with, I thought it would be interesting to present you a bit more about Sunfunder, who we are, what have we been doing, and where do we come from. So Sunfunder has been launched around 8 years ago as a solar financing platform. We have raised a number of very small funds, essentially almost like crowdfunding and small notes type of funds, and have grown from that level to currently managing two funds, Beyond the Grid Fund, which is a $50 million fund, and another $70 million fund called SET, Solar Energy Transformation. So all in all, we have unlocked around 150 or more than $150 million of debts financing for the solar space. We're a very African-centric institution, even if we have a global mandate, and we have done selective loans in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia, and so on. But our sort of core market remains on Sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa to a certain extent. Our mandate is focused around the solar technology. However, we can lend adjacently to solar if a project requires funding, not only for the sort of pure solar equipment, but also to a certain extent we have been able to finance equipment, other components for projects that are not solely linked to the power. To give you an idea about our equity and debt investors, to also explain where we come from and what is our DNA. So our anchor investor actually historically on both our funds has been DFC, which is the US Development Finance Corporation, previously called OPIC. As well as a number of impact investors and DFIs, as well as foundations that have supported our growth throughout our history, like FMO, IKEA Foundation, Bio, etc. So we come from an impact investing DNA. We are a commercial fund, so we're not concessional funding to a certain extent, but have angles of investments that are not only financial per se. We look at other criteria also. In terms of types of loans and historically what have we been able to finance and how have we done it? We've started really from the solar home system world, where we have financed distributors, suppliers, manufacturers, and so on throughout the value chain. Historically with corporate loans, financing working capital and inventory. And we have actually also been one of the sort of leaders or pioneers in also developing tools of financing for that sector that was nascent 7 years ago when we started, actually together and hand in hand. So we have developed actually an asset co-structure also, and that's a nice segue to our topic today for the solar home system specifically, where we have catered for the needs of those customer base and receivables type. And have actually put in place 3 of those SPVs for various clients of ours, and have gained, of course, experience from that we are now trying to also benefit other sectors. Following the solar home system space, we have then moved to financing the commercial and industrial segments with developers, EPCs, and even end users that were developing small to medium-sized plants, starting from 200 kilowatts all the way to 5 megawatts for the largest projects. And there, that's still quite a growing segment for us, and also an expertise that's developing. So in terms of financing tools that we have used, it's honestly across the range, from corporate loans to receivables to project finance and so on. More recently, we have also developed specialized financings for the telecom segment, where we have financed telco ESCOs, which is essentially companies that have emerged recently that finance the sort of power bits of the telecom towers. And last but not least, what we call the IGA sector, the income generating assets, where solar storage fall into, has been a sector that we have financed for quite a bit already, and are definitely still actively engaged in. So to talk more about the IGA segment and really the core of our conversation today, which is how do we finance solar powered storage or solar powered productive use in general for specifically the agricultural sector, because we have been seeing and doing actually investments in solar powered cold storage, but also in solar powered irrigation typically, which is also a key element of the productive use innovations that we have seen. Let me just start by saying that as Sunfunder, as impact investors, and as solar experts, it is a segment that we strongly believe in from a market potential. And on a more, and I'm sure this conversation was brought up earlier, but from first an addressable market, also from an interest for agricultural companies, from customer point of view, from, across the board, it just makes immense sense to be able to address African agriculture as it lacks, to a certain extent, strong logistics and innovations to support its growth. We have, as I said, at Sunfunder, financed a number of companies. One of them is Inspira Farms, which is quite public knowledge, and we have supported Inspira in actually growing, so really building that customer base and proving that solar powered cold storage makes sense for customers, makes sense for Inspira as a supplier and operator of those assets. And to a certain extent, we have also helped Inspira develop its or fine-tune rather its business plan and how to address better those customers. So there has been conversations around what type of contracts are interesting for customers, how to segregate or segment the market from large agricultural farms, processors, all the way to smaller agricultural actors and aggregators. I'm talking from a single smallholder farmer all the way to the union of cooperative and large processing units, because each and every customer has different constraints from a cash perspective, from access to financing, from capacity to project its cash flows throughout a season, based on the type of crops it grows, based on the location of its farm, etc., etc. So all of this is immensely complicated. And actually coming from an agricultural financing background was useful from that stance, because financing cocoa in Côte d'Ivoire has very little to do with financing cashew in Tanzania. The cash flow streams are totally different. The seasons are not the same, so you have to be mindful of the specificities when you're trying to finance a capex, which is generally quite cost intensive. So that's our engagement, and that's where Sunfunder's sort of traction came for the sector, really from bottom up, starting to finance Inspira, and as we were financing them, starting to think through how could we do this best and optimize the financing best to the needs of Inspira as well as to the needs of its clients. And as we developed that framework, we are currently working with Inspira, but also with more generally for the sector, in developing an asset financing structure. I'm not going to go into the details of the structure, but you have it here for in a scheme what we have in mind, because we strongly believe that this segment is wide, that it is capital intensive, and that we need to find a structure that is scalable and that is attractive for equity investors, for debt investors, for the cold storage provider, for the customers, and so on. And one of the efficient way of doing it is to actually segregate all of this into a special purpose vehicle, an SPV, with the entire ecosystem of actors around it that are sort of linked to the SPV with contractual framework that works for everybody and makes sense and has an adequate sort of risk return, and I'll get into that deeper. So the way we have thought about this is that this SPV is the cornerstone of this funding. It is financed from equity investors that can be totally different from the developer, which is in this case Inspira, and the servicing entity. You can also have an EPC locally, which is different because you can be focused on building that equipment, finding the client, and then someone else installs it locally and maintains it locally even. You can also think about a scheme where the supplier is not the developer, or is not in this instance an Inspira, but is someone else, is a manufacturing entity somewhere, etc. So all of this is just to give you an idea about how are we thinking about this. Just to conclude, and sorry, I might be going a little bit over time. Some key considerations for us to keep in mind and for the sector to think through. This asset financing structure is potentially not the answer for every single company. It is one of the tools that we think works for this sector, given the capex intensiveness of a cold storage unit, and given also sometimes how fragmented the customers can be, and the fact that you need a way to bring all of this into a single roof. So the first consideration is really that all of this needs to be attractive and make sense for everybody. For equity investors that find this attractive, for the servicing party that finds a way to grow without using too much of its own cash, for debt providers, for customer, etc. The second point is that all of this, as you can imagine, takes time, takes money. And so we're strongly calling for a collaborative approach and building this together. So Sunfunder, on top of being a debt financier, also has an advisory arm. And it's also via this advisory arm that we help think through all of this processes and bring new products of financing to the market. the last point, which is essentially all of the key things that need to be kept in mind when working on an SPV structure is one shoe doesn't fit all in this case. So every single vehicle is going to be different based on what types of customer arrangement or customer targets is there, where it is located geographically. Is it Kenya? Is it Cote d'Ivoire? Is it Morocco? Is it Nigeria? Is it South Africa? All of these countries have different legal background, different tax implications for the SPV, different constraints. Yeah. So I'll just stop here saying that Sunfunder is actively financing and actively thinking through the challenges of financing this sector. That will be very happy to engage with every one of you that might have questions and want to dig deeper into how can we make this work. Thank you. Oh, sorry, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, many thanks, Ms. Rim, to bring out the financial aspects and funding, innovative funding for such projects. Many thanks for joining here. Now I move on to the client is very important for any solutions, who uses these solutions. So to represent get a feedback from a client side experience, I would call upon Neo, is a managing director of Natural Farm Fresh, Myanmar, to give the presentation so that we get an idea as a feedback from the client side. Over to Mr. Neo.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Neu. I'm from Myanmar. I started this Natural Farm Fresh in 2017. Have you got my presentation?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's slow. So I started this business in the 2017 with the view to disseminate this solar dryer technologies, and the clean and hygienic spices for the Myanmar markets. Can you see my slides?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
So may I ask you the questions? How many of you have eaten the chili almost every day?
Many of us.
All of us, yeah.
So according to the WHO, over the 7% of all deaths in Myanmar are related to.
Sorry for interruption. I think your slide is not moving. If you can, yeah.
Yes, I think internet is a bit slow.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So should we load from our end?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Mr. Rajendra, can you just upload it, please?
Sure.
Okay, I will stop sharing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is our vision about the Natural Farm Fresh. We want to have a better health and well-being of all Myanmar people now and future generation through providing the toxin-free and hygienic nutrition, spices, and food in Myanmar market. And also we want to produce value-added spices and food by using the solar dryer technologies and the solar cold storage. Next slide, please. So this is our story. Next slide. So according to the WHO, over all deaths related in Myanmar are related to the disease, liver disease and liver cancer. Next slide, please. One of the reason is the aflatoxin. There is a fungus that can be found in the dry chili, which are not dry properly. Next slide, please. In 2016, Myanmar FDA found aflatoxin in the top chili brand in Myanmar. Next slide. So one of we found out that there's two problems. One is a bad drying process. 99% of the chili are dry on open ground under the sun. Next slide, please. Second problem is water contamination by human. The middleman collected the chili and added the water to the dry chili for gaining weight while they are selling. So this is the problem of the two aflatoxin. Next slide, please. So this is our solution is to eliminate the water contamination and the hygienic drying process. Next slide. So we move up upstream of the supply chain. We buy the fresh ripened chili from the smallholder farmers. We wash, we blanch, and we dry in the solar dryer and reduce the moisture content to less than 8%. Then process and pack and serve to the consumer. We prove that all the batches we have produced are not detected any aflatoxin in all batches. Next slide, please. These are the proven record of this analysis. Next slide. This is all our products, all the spices, chili, onion, garlic, and ginger and turmeric. Next slide. So our value proposition is the best quality to suit the local taste, no chemical, no aflatoxin, and selling the reasonable price. Our brand name is the Mr. Spicy. Next slide. So you can available on this the modern trade markets, Metro, Macro, and the shop.com as well. Next slide, please. So this is our factory using the solar dryer domes to dry the chili and the other spices. Next slide. So we are the first and foremost solar operated the solar cold room in Myanmar. So we have we are running the two units. One is to be installed, already imported from the India. One is in our own farm in the middle in the center of Myanmar, and one is at the vegetable wholesale markets. Next slide. So why we are using the solar cold storage is Myanmar still have limited access to the electricity. We still need to cover the more over this 35% of the population need more electricity. And also we have abandoned solar irradiation. And also we want to reduce the waste of the food after the harvest. And also that we want to keep the freshness of our material at the farm gate. And also we want to maintain our dry products at the controlled temperature storage to reduce the risk of the aflatoxin and the product degradations. Next slide. So we use Ecofrost in the two ways. One is the freshness of the raw material. So you can see that some of the people using the chili one day before the drying, they just put on the ground. But for us, if we cannot operate, we put in the solar cold storage. And also we use our dry chili in the solar cold room. So to control the ambient temperature around about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, RH is about 65 degrees Celsius, to reduce the risk of the aflatoxin and the color changes of the chili. You know, the chili chili color tend to change color after the 3 to 5 months periods. So this is the way we prevent our product degradations. Next slide, please. So this is our focus of the few prospect, because we are also promoting this solar operated cold room in the Myanmar, because we want to use this the function of the pre-cooling function of the solar cold storage to maintain the fresh red chili quality, because we can access to the Thailand market and also the China market. And also we use it, the solar cold room, for the storage of the dry chili to have a brighter brighter red color and without aflatoxin. Next slide, please. So here I want to mention about the pros and cons of the solar cold storage. One thing is solar cold storage reduce the, sorry, we send the second revision one, but it is not included this in slides. But I will mention about we use the solar cold room for the freshness, to maintain the freshness, and even our semi-finished product like a dry chili to maintain the color. And also we have challenges for the electricity supply, because as you know that the sunlight has a limited hours, and farmers, they don't have knowledge of how to operate the solar cold room. So suppose the raw material arrive at the nighttime and they just put in the solar cold room, and they cannot get the enough temperature and will degrade it. So I also suggest Ecofrost to have ATS, we call the auto transfer system for the genset. It is important in the remote area. There's no electricity, no solar power at the nighttime, but it will automatically switch on the genset and the switch off when the solar cold storage reach the set temperature. So we also tested in our farm. It is workable. And second thing is that we also provide we also seeking how to build and knock down the cold box, because the season of the chili is around about 3 to 4 months from every region. So we need to move around this solar cold box, so it will be more efficient. If we can install in the knockdown style, it will be more efficient. So this is my suggestion. So our impact is we can reduce by means of solar cold storage and solar dryer. 40% of the post-harvested can be reduced. So we also pay the good quality good quality chili for the better price, over the 25%. And also we create the employment in the local community, and also the reduce the risk of the liver cancer of the Myanmar people, and also reduce the greenhouse gas emission. So just last night I exported about the sample of a 1 ton chili to Japan. So they are tested and there is no aflatoxin. So it is a good news for the Myanmar. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, you can add the next slide, please. You can have an email and website there. Thank you.
Many thanks. Attention. Yeah, many thanks, Mr. Ney, and to bring out the importance of solar, which can play even getting the healthy products in terms of cooling as well as for the drying. Many thanks for joining. Many thanks for this. So now I move on to Ntpc. Ntpc is assisting ISA as a project management consultant to various solutions to give facilitate or to support the member countries. So I would request Ntpc team to give the presentation, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. Good afternoon, DGISA and our international dignitaries who are participating. It is very nice to have you here, and I would like to introduce Ntpc role in this very great endeavor of ISA to solarize and introduce solar technologies increase the solar penetration in the various countries, especially in 47 LDCs and ISTs member countries. Next. See, ISA, as you know, was launched in 2015, and ISA is a global organization by India and France, with the Honorable Minister of Power India as president. And ISA is geared towards addressing multiple SDGs through solar power initiatives. And Ntpc is fortunate to associate with ISA in this noble cause. And especially for these 47 LDCs and SADS countries, the demonstration projects will be associating with them. And technical financial assistance program is approximately $3 million for this program. Next, please. Now, what kind of a corporate partner Ntpc is to ISA is basically, we are trying to associate with ISA for the on-ground implementation by providing PMC consultancy, not only for this demonstration project, even for the other bigger solar projects also. Ntpc has been selected as a PMC partner in November 2019. And already we are implementing 2 projects in Mali and Togo for 500 and 285 megawatt, where Ntpc is providing all the PMC consultancy. And for this project, also agreement has been signed. And also for the climate, Sustainable Climate Action Initiative, Ntpc is associated with ISA. Now a little introduction to Ntpc. It's one of the biggest power enterprise in India, and in a very sizable form. It has a 45 years experience, and we produce almost 25% of the electricity and we have a 63,000 megawatt. And by 2032, we will be reaching 130 gigawatt. And the uniqueness of Ntpc is that most of the engineering and project management, procurement, commissioning, and O&M is done in-house. We have developed full engineering capabilities, full procurement capabilities, and commissioning experience. And O&M also we are doing it ourselves. We have a pool of 19,000 experienced, highly qualified manpower and strong financials also. Next. Now, coming to these solarization themes, which are demonstration projects. These are 5 of them. One is under ISA cares, basically primary healthcare solarization. It's basically an electrification program, mainly conceived for the hospital and far-flung healthcare facilities which have erratic power. And within the given funds and the requirement which has been estimated, around 5 to 6 kilowatt projects can be implemented. Also, along with this, maybe a solar-based RO system with 5,000 liters per day, and solar water pumping program for irrigation of 1 to 5 HP, and the solar cold storage initiative of approximately 5 metric ton, which is the theme of today's webinar. And apart from that, we are developing in-house R&D a multi-utility heat pump system, which will generate hot water, cold water, and a water generation from atmosphere, a cold storage, refrigeration, and electric loads. I must say we have already a working model, but this is of a higher capacity in our R&D department, which we call Netra. But apart from this, we are further developing this through a collaboration with industry, and we hope to get this system also off the ground in coming period. Apart from these 4 or 5, depending on the funds available in each country, combination of any of the above systems can be supplied. Next slide. So already you have listened to various aspects of a cold storage zone, which I need not go further, but these are the basic configurations, which will be efficient thermal storage technology in place of a battery, having an approximate capacity of 5 metric ton, and temperature varying from 4 to 10 degrees Celsius. And for ease of operation, a remote monitoring system which will be monitoring the operation as well as helping in diagnosis. And apart from first year warranty, a 3-year further maintenance support also we are planning to provide as a part of the package. Next, please. So the way we have planned for implementation, there are ISA is the nodal agency who will be the owner of the whole program, and member countries where these projects will be installed, and local support will be a very critical factor in the member country, which we need to use for the successful implementation of the program. Of course, Ntpc will be a project monitoring consultant and drive the whole process from tendering up to the stage of commissioning and later monitoring for the warranty. And vendor will be the key point who will be supplying this equipment. Next. So how we approach to accomplish this task. So first, the first point is on behalf of ISA and with the help of ISA, each country has to decide what projects are to be installed there, what are their local needs and requirements. And then after the consolidation of the requirement is done, then we move further action of procurement. Yes, next slide. So this is our roadmap. Now, as far as the technology is concerned, we as per our survey, technologies are very much available and standardized. But the most important aspect is because of the diversity of the country and the remote locations, we need to have capability of the our vendors or the EPC agencies who can work with such remote areas, and they can not only supply, they can maintain also. So we intend to do a market survey and issue an expression of interest so that we are able to locate such vendors who have those capabilities, and based on that we finalize our exact tendering processes and finalize those solutions. So for that, we have already prepared a UI draft and will be issuing in the market in a few days. And also we are now firming up the specifications of all the solutions so that the nitty-gritty of the technical details can be finalized and orders, tenders can be issued without any hitch. So, so for that, we'll be finalizing scope of work, commercial terms, calling the tender, and finally awarding it. And of course, we'll be monitoring the whole the project from award stage to the commissioning and later on up to the maintenance support. So this is how we start from market exploring, finalization of vendors, and with the help of the local vendors, we intend to install and provide support. Next slide. So Ntpc can help prepare for each other project the final project report, which will best utilize the ISA grant. And we will be doing the system design, technology finalization, availability of the supply components, ensure work with the member countries for local support and local agencies to do site visit if required. So the entire project conceptualization, Ntpc can help all the member countries. Next, please. So there is a very important role for the local agencies, local vendors and designated agencies which are there in the country where the project is to be installed. First is the local agency, which will be a focal point and contact point who will be coordinating with ISA and Ntpc for this project. And local vendor support we intend to have association with the main vendor. So main vendor will be hiring the local support for custom clearance, inland transportation, storage at site, erection and civil works, and during the commissioning, and under the supervision of the main vendor. And finally, the project will be handed over to a designated entity who will be the project owner and will be, after successful erection and commissioning, will be working on the project and maintaining that. So these are the local agency, local vendor, and local designated entity. We overall call it local support from the country, which we envisage with the main vendor who will be supplying. Next, please. So to help the countries, already ISA has circulated and a questionnaire where the countries, each country will be giving its requirement. And some example of the questions, the points, details which we need to procure from these countries are given in this. And the next page, please. Solarization project, which project they choose, and what so this is a very preliminary questionnaire. But once we start, because each country will be having a unique set of issues, so we'll be on the second stage, we'll be interacting with them during the preparation of project report as well as a technical data sheet, so that this project can be implemented. Next, please. So thank you very much for that. If any have any question, anybody, so I'll be pleased to answer them.
So thank you, Mr. Batra, for giving the presentation on the role of Ntpc. And in fact, we have other associates like National Institute of Solar Energy and ESL also associated with ISA for to support the member countries. So now with that, I'll just come to Senegal, because I was just recalling the interest of Senegal, which the Director General of Renewable Energy Agency from Senegal had a discussion with Honorable DG and Mahapatra ji. So they are very much interested in cold chain. So they would be now sharing their experience in cold chains. So I would request Director General ANER, Government of Senegal, to give the presentation on their experience on cold chains in Senegal. Over to you, sir.
Bonjour à tout le monde. Ok, vous m'entendez? C'est bon, j'ai parlé. Ok, bonjour à tout le monde. C'est Sidapal. Je me nomme Sidapal.
And so
donc, en fait, je m'en vais pour vous faire la présentation.
I would like to do this presentation. In my presentation, it is going to talk of is the presentation of the agency.
La présentation sur le projet PLET que l'on souhaite mettre en œuvre avec l'ISA, l'Agence solaire.
And in association with the ISA, we will talk about this presentation. So first point in the summary is the context, first of all, and then the missions of our organization ANER, and then the promotion programs and the promotions of ANR, and the projects of the pumping, solar pumping, and the affairs which other affairs which we have, and the pilot projects of ANER with ISA. Oui. So on this plan, I will talk about the geopolitical plan and the economical plan and the environmental plan. In this context, so reduction of the dependence of the fossil fuels. This is the first and foremost point for us. And also in terms of economic terms, we have the strong dependency on the fossil energies, which we would like to reduce. And in terms of environmental plan, we would like to have the reduction of SER gases and carbon emissions. So the voice is breaking from time to time. I hope you can all hear me in English. Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, you're
please
hearing.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
his voice is breaking. His Excellency's voice is breaking. I'm telling him on the French channel as well at the same time.
Sure.
Sir, we cannot hear him on the French channel now. We cannot hear him. He's just like the screen has also frozen.
Okay.
There's some connection problem. Sage has left.
We'll wait for a minute and then go over to Sudan, and then Senegal can come in as and when they establish connection. You have the telephone number. Can you talk to him on your mobile?
I think Isaac2 is online. So if Isaac2 can hear us, he can always talk to Aner people and just tell them to join in as soon as possible.
I think that's shared.
I think they're back.
Yeah. He's on mute. Is he on mute? Or...
Ok. Excusez, hein, en fait, j'avais un problème de connexion. Donc, je disais, en fait, un tel engagement.
About our engagements so it is actually manifested notably by our settings of the ANER, the agency, under the decree of 2013-684 on 17th May 2013. The missions of our agency, the ANER has the missions of to promote the utilization of renewable energies, including bioenergy and all the other sectors of activities. Identify, evaluate, and exploit the potential of energetic resources, renewable energy resources available, and economically exploit them in Senegal, and see how we can have more utilization of equipments for the electricity production via renewable energy. Elaborating and executing the projects and programs of information, of awareness, of communication, of education, and of trainings in terms of environment and renewable energy sector. Participations in the promotion of the emergence of development of companies working in these domains, and developing the bilateral cooperation and multilateral cooperation in the domain of renewable energy. The programs of promotions in ANER, we have different programs. For example, support for the livestock sector, and we have also a program of promotion of solar equipments in urban and peri-urban areas, solar street lighting, support to the health and education sectors, and education sectors. There also we have installed some mini kits, solar kits, to help people in terms of health and to overall improve the health sector of our country. And also there is also a program of empowerment of public buildings to empower to have the autonomous systems to have the engagements of renewable services. There is also a sector for promotion, as I was saying, for promotion of solar equipment in urban and peri-urban areas, and diffusion of solar pumping for agricultural use. and we are very much motivated to replace the diesel pumps by solar pumps. So talk of the pumps, pumping solar pumping, I would like to say that we have a lot of hope, and these projects were started by ANER with other partners like Fongib and other partners. There is also Agricultural Bank. And we have also a few trainings in these programs. We have also some improvements on the cost of production of the solar pumps, and the finance is something which we are looking forward in order to do the big projects in facilitating the equipments and the acquisition of equipments and the exploitation of this program. This is what we have in solar pumps for the moment. So I wanted to talk about different affairs. So for instance, so this is the case of the SIPA, the Program of Agricultural Development in Matam, which is a place. So here we have also we have a production of between from 2017 till 2019. So these are the numbers which explain the production of potatoes, and by the help of this table, we can see that in terms of stockage, how we are using this. To resume to do the resume of this table, I can say that, for instance, that for the 2017-18 till 2019 agricultural years, the loss rates in relation to marketable volumes are as follows, respectively of 44%, 34%, and 22%, and represents a loss of earnings worth 34 million 96 million 34 million 96 million francs over a production of period of approximately 16 months. So it is an existence of we have to find a solution to reduce these losses. We have to work on the value chain, and the points which are we have in, for instance, in order to develop the value of chain, are the absence of adequate storage system for all the segments of value chain, the absence of seed production, conservation, and the conservation infrastructure deficit. We were talking of the cold storage today. So we have also done this some programs in the past, and we have tried a lot to see that how we can accommodate cold storage by the UL using solar energy. So in general, there have been some problems in the cold storage because some cold storages were not working in the past. And so just to say that, I would say that there was a problem of technology in that project particularly. And at the end, so we have a pilot project in collaboration with ISA. So we have a installation of a conservation unit of capacity of 5 tons for the conservation of fruits and and vegetables in the zone called NII, which represent respectively 75% of the national production of vegetables and 30% of production of our fruits. The innovation of this project, of the pilot project, will certainly on the usage of the cold storage for the stock by the using the solar energy, and will permit us to have a production of cold, continuous cold through a solar energy, and while limiting the usage of batteries, electrochemical batteries. And the objective, specific objects, is to increase the sales of agriculture products, to improve the solar powered cold chains for vegetables, to add an extra value for our country, and to show that this is an economic pertinent project for our country, and develop a business model appropriately of a big scale in the interventional zones, and to also have the interest of funds, in terms of funds and other structure of finance for these projects. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Many thanks, Excellency, from the Government of Senegal and the ANR Senegal for giving your thoughts and sharing your experience and the need for cold chains. So we will continue our association, and ISA would be very happy to take up this project with the Senegal. There is a message from Sudan. Due to some exigency, they could not participate. They regret to present today, so they have not actually joined for this meeting. They have sent a message, so we would go to the next this thing. So now we actually wanted to interventions from the other member countries who have joined here in the session. So I would request, I would go by the alphabetic order. So I would request Benin, the Honorable NFP of Benin, to come on board and share their perspective on the cold chain. Thank you. Rajiv?
Yes, sir. I have announced this in French. Son Excellence PFN du Bénin. Perhaps he's linked here, like connected here in the English channel.
No, he can speak in English, Mr. Justin Damada. Are you there?
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Mr. Damada from Benin. If Excellency
Okay.
Toadman is not there, so Mr. Justin Damada can speak, and you speak very well in English. It's up to you. You can speak in French also. Ramesh, you know.
Okay. Okay, so shall we move ahead? Yeah. So coming to the next country, I would request the contact point of Ethiopia to share their perspective.
Can you hear me, Ramesh? Ramesh?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Isa. Although we are not able to present something to the audience, we are delighted to appreciate the initiative of ISA in such kind of initiative. I spoke yesterday with our state Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy, and we will submit our project proposal as soon as possible. And thank you again for ISA initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Solomon, for addressing it. So now I would request Honorable NFP Mali, Dr. Berthe, to share their perspective, please. Over to Dr. Berthe. Raji, can you announce in French as well? Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Todman Asan has arrived from Benin.
Okay, yeah. So over to Excellency Todman.
Oui, je suis là, je suis là. Ici à la chaîne française.
You're audible, Mr. Todman. Excellency, you can carry on.
Je voudrais, au nom de la partie béninoise, remercier l'Alliance solaire internationale pour cette initiative-là.
To ISA, and to say that we stay engaged totally to benefit from these opportunities, which are very much necessary in our country in abundance, and in terms of improving the life and the social and economic aspect of our country. I would like to say that when you talk of the stockage of energy, of electricity, which is a part of renewable energy, and notably SPV, it is really an occupation, a big for our country, and for that we will going to engage a study to check the stabilization of the network. For the moment, we have 100 megawatts of solar energy program, which permits us to inject the capacity in the network, in the grid, and we are going to study that what are the best points to inject the electricity in terms of solar energy. We are also in the process of seeing the program in which we are working on the solar energy. We are identifying the sites and where we have the best solar irradiation, and we are also estimating the cost of investment so that it will be beneficial for the interested investments in the near future. So this was my intervention, and thanks a lot for this opportunity, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Todman from Benin. Thank you for your intervention. So now I move on to the Togo, Honorable NFP, if he has joined. I'm not very sure. Our Charge Affairs, Excellency Contimani, I would request to address the session.
Monsieur Kondumani, s'il vous plaît, si vous êtes là, votre intervention, s'il vous plaît, du Togo. Monsieur Kondumani. So no response even on the French channel as well.
Okay, yeah, I think he's muted there. Yeah.
I'll just pass this message.
Ramesh ji, if you If you can request Excellency Osman want to speak something, not the presentation. Ntpc Sudan.
Okay.
Is on available.
Excellency Osman, are you connected? In case you are connected, that would be we welcome you to address the session, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dinesh Kumar. Am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And really, I congratulate ISA for the initiative of solar cooling program. So really, in Africa and in the sub-Sahara Africa, we need this cooling program. Really, if we talk about Sudan, Sudan is a wide country. It is about 2 million square kilometers with only 37% of electrification rate. And this ratio also decreased in the rural area. It is estimated to be 31% in the rural area of 31% electrification rate in the rural area, so that the solar cold storage can be solution for the rural areas, which they are depend on the agricultural product. And this is solar cold storage is the one of the solution for remaining the fruits and the agricultural products in a good way, so that they can marketing this product in a good way. Really, we thank ISA for the initiative, and also we thank them for the grant to make the demonstration for the solar cooling. I want to conclude by one question about the coming steps for the implementation of the ISA grant in the cooling program. Is there will be a competition bid for the companies to participate, because many companies they the cooling project cooling implementation project in Sudan, but really I don't know what is the process from ISA side. Is there will be a bidding process for those companies who have the desire to participate in implementation of the project, of the demonstration project in Sudan, or what is that? And I conclude with they are work hardly to see implemented projects in the ground. And really, I appreciate what you did in all the program, especially in the cooling program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency Osman. In fact, I would request Mr. Mahapatra to, if he can just answer his questions.
We will engage with a bilateral meeting with Sudan, so that because this is for all the countries. So what we'll do is let's arrange a bilateral meeting with Sudan quickly with the project team. We can discuss at length and answer all the queries. In the meantime, you may invite any other country delegation of whichever country present. They may like to make some intervention.
Sure.
Because I noticed participants from other countries here as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. So I would now request Rwanda NFP, so Honorable Rwanda NFP, can you come on board and share your perspective, please? Yeah. So I'm not getting any response. So I would request, because we didn't receive any further confirmations for participation, so I would welcome any country to come forward and share your experience, so that will be helpful to ISA to understand your perspective, so which will give a lot of value addition in the whole. Yeah. So
we have a delegation from Peru. Would they like to speak?
yeah, I think so we are not getting any response. So now I would request to our Exim Bank representative.
Hello,
in, yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Hello?
Thank you, Honorable NFP Mali. But yeah, please carry on.
I want to speak.
Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you.
Oui.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Donc, je vais parler en français. Okay. Donc, on a suivi avec intérêt toutes les présentations. Et je vois que surtout le problème de refroidissement du froid solaire est très important chez nous en Afrique de l'Ouest, surtout dans le Sahel. Les températures sont très élevées. Donc, il y a beaucoup de produits agricoles qui pourrissent et ça diminue le revenu des paysans. Donc, nous sommes intéressés par ces produits solaires de production de froid qui permettront de diminuer la déperdition des produits agricoles, aussi de permettre d'augmenter le revenu des paysans. Mais il serait très intéressant, c'est-à-dire la manière que je vois de développer une partie de ces technologies en Afrique, c'est-à-dire des conteneurs, au lieu de les importer ici, ça va nous coûter trop cher. Donc, on peut voir si on trouve le conteneur sur place, on essaie de trouver des entreprises. Nous avons des entreprises qui ont déjà l'expérience dans le montage, dans l'assemblage des équipements solaires. Donc, qu'on équipe sur place et ça va permettre de diminuer le coût de ces produits solaires dans ces conteneurs et qui seront plus accessibles au monde rural pour lesquels nous travaillons pour améliorer leurs conditions de vie à partir d'une source d'énergie qui dispose en quantité et en qualité. Donc, c'est ça cette option qu'il faut inclure dans le truc, de voir les projets, comment ça peut marcher avec ce schéma. Voilà, aussi introduire l'aspect séchage aussi pour la production, dans la production agricole, parce que tout produit n'est pas à refroidir. Il y a des produits aussi, quand on arrive à sécher, ça permettra de les conserver et d'augmenter le revenu des paysans, du monde rural. Donc, comme j'ai suivi avec intérêt la présentation du Nigeria, donc à partir des hubs du froid, ils ont pu créer des emplois. On peut faire le même schéma avec le séchage, c'est-à-dire faire des unités de production de séchage à grande échelle et qui permettra de conserver des produits, de créer des emplois et de créer aussi de la valeur ajoutée à ces produits. Donc, c'est ça qui est très sollicité. Aussi, on peut solliciter les chercheurs. Comme vous savez, ici, la climatisation consomme beaucoup d'énergie chez nous. Si on peut développer cette climatisation aussi, pour des climatisations pour le bâtiment, et comme a présenté le monsieur du conteneur, il a présenté un conteneur qui n'utilise pas de batterie. Si on peut appliquer si on peut appliquer les mêmes équipements aux bâtiments pour refroidir les bâtiments, ça constituera beaucoup d'économie d'énergie dans nos pays et ça permettra beaucoup aussi de diminuer notre empreinte carbone. Ce qui est très important, ce qui permettra de protéger la nature. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Excellency Burgess, for your points to be raised here. Thanks a lot for joining here. So I would now request, I would welcome Mr. Sunil Rajguru from Exim Bank, Addis Ababa. Thank you for joining, Mr. Rajguru, and please share your experience in brief. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahapatraji, and my greetings to all the dignitaries, as well as congratulations to the ISA team for organizing this webinar on solar powered efficient cold chains. And it is actually made up the R not only in Asia or India per se, but of course more required in Africa. Just to give a small introduction, I'm Exim Bank of India's visiting representative for the East and Central Africa region, based in Addis Ababa. From here, I handle 13 countries in the East and Central Africa region. As far as Exim Bank of India is concerned, till date, we have extended almost 307 credit lines to globe, amounting to around $31.52 billion, of which around 210 lines of credit has been given to 42 countries in Africa, aggregating to around $12.72 billion. We also have a portfolio of buyer's credit under ENI worth around $2.65 billion. Out of the LOC extended by Exim Bank of India at behest of Government of India, around $1 billion worth projects are into solar sector. Having said that, let me just highlight the scope of this solar powered efficient cold chains in the African continent as such. Out of the 54 countries in the continent, 16 countries are basically landlocked countries and heavily dependent upon their neighbors for their trade. Barring 3 countries among the 16 landlocked countries like Chad, Mali, and Niger, all other countries are basically agrarian economies having abundance of sunlight available throughout the year. As against this, these countries are basically very poor economies, not able to sustain based on their economies, and facilitation or provision of these solar powered cold chains for these countries will be a game changer. As far as the East and Central Africa is concerned, we need to note that it is strategically located between Europe, Middle East, as well as Asia, having a very favorable climate, perfect climate, lot of arable land available, but lack of infrastructure, not only internally but also up to the coast. As far as East Africa is concerned, there is quite good scope for having this cold chain infrastructure or network, cold chain network, which can be established in these countries, which will enable produce the agriculture, vegetables, fruits, flowers. It can be exported to the market like Europe at a very limited time, maybe 15 to 20 days maximum. So we really need to focus on this particular option for overall development of the region as well. As far as Ethiopia is concerned, very recently in August, Ethiopia has experimented, by establishing a pilot cold chain network, wherein the avocado, the produce collected from the hinterlands of Ethiopia, were brought to Addis Ababa near Mojo port, and from where it was transported through refrigerated containers to the Djibouti port, from where again it was transported almost to European market. So this experiment has been very successful and very encouraging. And I would really request the interested Indian companies, not only Indian from the globe, to explore this option and come forward to establish this kind of network in Africa, which will be sustainable. Of course, the video which was shown by Ecofrost and the revolutionary cold storage containers which they have shown based on solar technology, that could be game changer.
Ils ont montré les
It can be installed in the remote villages, remote areas wherein the produce can be stored. Not only that, but in Africa, we know the vaccinations and all, it is still not reached the poor people. So this kind of containers and all can be used for those storage of those vaccines and all, and can be further reach to the poor people in Africa. I think I just congrats to the ISA team for organizing this particular session, and look forward to have more and more projects under this segment. Exim Bank will be more than happy to get financial associate with ISA as well as other companies who would like to venture into the continent. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajguru. At this point of time, I just wanted to give a little information, which most of our members countries, they know already. This ISA's assistance of $50,000 US to our LDC and SIDS member country have various modes of operation. One is the country operates it themselves. The other is they request ISA to do it. Then ISA has its partners like Ntpc and other organizations. There is a third mode, which says if that country is executing a much bigger project through one of the reputed financial organizations, maybe World Bank, maybe African Development, could be an Exim Bank. So this $50,000 can be used as a kind of viability gap funding, etc., which will basically have a much better and a bigger project, which will be innovative and can make impact on the ground. So this is an opportunity because I find Exim Bank is present. Also, there are certain missions are present, certain embassies are present. So with the permission of our Director General ISA, I would like you people to explore between our member countries together what kind of innovative project can be done. If something is being financed, a part of this fund can go. So there are many opportunities. And the main purpose of this seminar or the webinars are to say what are the possibilities, like solar cold channel cooling. It's a very important thing, and you need not have a battery. You can do it through the solar thermal technology more efficiently. So if you can engage, this is a beginning. This is a series of seminars are just a beginning. So if we all work, engage together, and we can make sun a little more brighter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we had a very detailed deliberations today. So now I would request Arun Kumar Mishra Saab to have a summing up of these deliberations. I would request Mishra sir to come on board and sum up the deliberation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mahapatra, and thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Gyaniji, for presenting an excellent program today. We had representatives from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Myanmar, from Senegal, who actually explained to us, other than India, who actually explained to us what they have done in this segment. And of course, initially we heard from Helen Hoshe about the importance of energy efficiency, introducing energy efficiency. Then Didier Kulum was kind enough to give us an overview. But the emphasis has been to demonstrate and to show to all our member countries how a small size cold storage unit can be actually installed in a particular rural location, catering to a small community, which doesn't require much investment. And I think Mr. Devendra Gupta will bear me out if I say that a 5-ton to 10-ton capacity cold storage unit will cost anywhere between, say, $200,000 to $500,000, maybe even less. I think $20,000 to $50,000. So it's a viable, doable proposition, and we saw it actually happening. And we saw it actually happening in Nigeria, where Namican not only proved that they have been able to develop a very successful business model. Now they are thinking of setting up 49 such units in that particular country, which shows that there is a demand for this kind of a product. And we also heard from Ms. Rim as well as from our friend from Exim Bank, who mentioned that finance is not going to be a problem if the project is a viable project. Like many speakers have said, that the technology is not something which is not developed. It is developed and it caters to all kinds of climatic conditions. It can work in Burma, it can work in Indian difficult conditions, it can work in Africa, extreme temperatures and very low temperatures, it can work. The only thing that needs to be seen is, when you go for a cold storage unit is primarily for vegetables and fruits. They're generally not built for things like wheat, rice, or corn. Potatoes to a certain extent, yes, not for staple foods, but for vegetables and flowers and fruits. And these products, unfortunately, have a fixed time frame during which they are produced, unlike milk. If you are processing a milk plant, the milk production is around the year, whereas vegetables, flowers, and fruits, they are generally, there are some fruits, of course, which can get a little longer, but the duration is about 3 to 4 months time, during which period all this gets produced. So keeping the cold storage engaged for an 8-month period, 9-month period, 10-month period becomes a challenge. So how do we make it viable? That's where I think subsequently you can all discuss with Ecofrost or with Ntpc. One of the solutions is combining this cold storage unit with a transport unit, like Verma did, like Mr. Nahu did. If you combine it with a transport unit, at least the large produce that you get immediately can be transferred to a longer distance, and it can be taken to a consuming market. And even when you combine both of them together, the total cost will not be more than $40,000-$50,000. But subsequently, as and when we have the capacity, we can set up very large units, very, very large units, and which of course can not only make sure that we are able to cater to the entire country, but maybe across the continent also, like Mr. Rajguru mentioned. But that's a subsequent step. At the moment, we are thinking of small steps which can be immediately implemented without any loss of time by all the member countries. So if you can combine that, I think it's something which can be delivered in a very, very short period of time. It can be delivered in a very short period of time. This technology is very much available. We saw 2 demonstrations. So one is Ecofrost, and the second one, of course, is the one that the Nigeria things, the cold hubs they were managing. So both of them, they're simple things. They're not very, very difficult to manage. So that is something that can be seen. Just to respond to Sudan's question, I suppose subsequently, like Mr. Mahapatra mentioned, you will have a separate bilateral meeting. But yeah, we don't want to force anything on the member country. The member country has the right to choose the product and the right to choose the company that is going to supply to them. If you want any assistance, like Ntpc very clearly mentioned, we shall be more than happy to assist you in that. That's why Ntpc has been brought in. Ntpc has been brought in, that they can handhold you, they can help you in identifying the right product, they can help you in identifying the right company. The identification and the selection is on the country. ISA will have no say in that, except to help you when required. So I think as and when Mr. Mahapatra has a bilateral meeting with Sudan, he will clarify it. But here is an opportunity which fends for itself. The last point I want to highlight is we spoke a lot about saving the food waste and food loss. Both the terms were used. What is important and what I've seen from experience in the field is whenever we have introduced a cold storage unit in a particular area, the whole agriculture pattern has changed. The agriculture pattern, which used to be primarily consumption oriented, like wheat, rice, etc., shifted to vegetables, chilies, like in Burma, floriculture, because they know that there is a place where it can be stored. And anyone who has spent any time in agriculture knows that the return on investment on these products is much, much higher than normal agricultural produce. What you get by cultivating wheat or corn or rice is so much less than what you get by cultivating vegetables and flowers and culture. So a simple things like a cold storage can change the agriculture pattern, can change the economic life of a particular area. That's something which is, yeah, of course, we'll also save a lot of food waste. We will also save a lot of food loss. That and this economic advancement, both of them are doable. That is something which can be very easily quantified also. So here is a project which is very, very required, important, and can be easily adopted. And on behalf of ISA, the only thing I can suggest at the moment to all the member countries who are listening to us, that this is a product which you can easily consider. And like Mr. Mahapatra and Ramesh has been telling you right from the beginning, that this project teams have been more than happy to help you out in this particular thing. Once again, I want to thank on behalf of ISA to all the participant member countries. I did not mention Benin, Ethiopia, and Mali. They made their interventions, they made their requirements very, very clear, and we have noted it down. We will definitely come back to you on this. Thank you, Prashant ji, and thank you, Ramesh, for conducting this excellent program. Thank you.
Many thanks, sir. So I would request finally Dr. Philip to give a formal vote of thanks before concluding. Over to Dr.
Before Dr. Philip come, I would also like to add that Indian diplomatic mission officials are also here.
Yeah.
Since the starting of this program, we would also like to thank them as they have conveyed the message to respective countries for participation in this program. Thank you.
Yes. We're extremely grateful to them, and we look forward to their further cooperation in making all these programs successful.
And please send a letter of thanks to them also. It can be followed up.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Over to Dr. Philip, please.
Hey, thank you, Ramesh. And thank you all for having listened up to now. Before the vote of thanks, I'd like us to introduce and to give you the ISA perspective on cooling and heating. It's a new program recently adopted at the last ISA assembly, considering that it represents a huge demand, and also considering that solar energy has clearly the potential to address this. To be as efficient as possible regarding the climate crisis, where we have to really decrease very quickly the greenhouse gas emission, we have to do this transformation with solar as soon as possible. Now there's no more reason not to change to solar. You know, it is the cheapest cost of electricity, cheapest operating cost for most systems. However, there's still one issue, you know, the upfront cost. So to solve that, we have to still be innovative with the business model, and we have to involve all stakeholders, the end user, the public authority, the investors, banks, everybody in all sectors. So we have been organizing this event on solar cold chains, and we have learned that solar was really good situation, in poor grid situation also. Due to the solar, you have much lower risk in food or vaccine or whatever. Also on grid, we've seen many examples, or 2 examples at least, of systems that on-grid solar cooling units have also the big advantage of contributing to the grid management. For higher amount of solar within the grid, you can use all this cooling unit to use energy when it's you can even decrease the temperature further. Or you can, when you are lacking some energy, you can easily shave or shift the load by 1 hour or several hours. So it's really a flexible load, which is such like a pumping unit, solar desalination unit. It's a flexible load, which could be very useful to manage the grid. Finally, regarding coal needs, you know, we could have example at an refrigerator or freezing tunnels, etc. That's a huge segment that was reminded to us with billions of appliances to be installed. And it's nothing compared to the heating needs. You know, this is a solar, this is a program on cooling and heating. And heating needs are really huge. You know, there are space heating, hot water heating, cooking, important in many countries, drying, as just said by Mali, preserving food, transforming, and also addressing industrial needs.
I think we lost Dr. Philip. Dr. Philip, are you connected now?
Yes, I'm connected, but I lost everything.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Sorry, I was completely disconnected.
Philip, you can switch off your camera.
Okay, so I just go on. So for all this need, solar is really well suited with, you know, it could be solar thermal collectors, hybrid PV thermal panel. We could use concentrated solar power. Soon there will be another technology, hydrogen. Hydrogen is not new, but thanks to solar, it will be cheap enough to replace fossil fuel. So either on this solar and heating program, solar heating and cooling program will proceed with the same approach, showcasing examples as it was done, or case studies, promoting guidelines or recommended practices, whether on technical issue or on business models. We've seen how important it was today. And then according to various opportunities, supporting setting up of projects. So that's all for the presentation of the solar heating and cooling program. Now I'm delighted to deliver this vote of thanks for this roundtable organized by the ISA Secretariat. We have really very interesting set of speakers, very diverse with, we had top 10 and IIR to set context. And then we have a very nice, very interesting example with Ecofrost, Cold Hubs, and Soundfounder, and several other to cover the whole, all the examples. With that, I would like also to thank our audience. We had up to 80 people participating to this roundtable. I hope you find it inspiring. That's very stimulating to see all these examples and possibilities. And lastly, I would like to thank our DG, my ISA colleagues, some of them more involved, like Zerin, who helped to set up this program, Ramesh and Mahapatraji, plus all the other colleagues supporting this webinar. So with that, I close this roundtable. Thank you. Namaste. Merci beaucoup et au revoir.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. Well done. Very well done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your blessings.
Thank you, sir.
And with this, we come to the close of today's webinar. And as you have suggested, the project team will now gear up for the next week's webinar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Isaac.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Very good. Very good
Thank
event.
you.
Thank you very much.
Holding for 3 hours is really great. 3-2.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very well done, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Honestly, I don't know whether you noticed there were one or two ambassadors
But
present
thank you,
today.
Philip, and thanks, Jareen.
Yes, sir.
Jareen, I think we should thank Philip. Has been a great help. And Jareen
He
has
has
been
been.
a great help. We couldn't take her name. She has been really so good. I mean, grateful, Jareen.
Absolutely, sir. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Zareen.
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you, and very useful presentations. Very useful. Very not too much talk, but actual work. I'm sure the countries will benefit from this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank
Jareen,
you,
you were
sir.
saying
Thank you.
something?
Have a good evening. No, sir, I was just saying thank you very much. And I'm sure that we'll be able to positively contribute to sustainable development in the truest sense. And yeah, we're looking forward to getting some demand from countries so that we can actually get down to actual work and implementation.
Yeah. But Ramesh, do talk to these guys and find out how the utility can be used. You know, usefulness can be extended beyond 4 months. Mahapatraji will also talk to them.
One of the ways can be, sir, we attach a solar pumping system, sir. During the cropping season, the same solar panel can be used for pumping water. And the same panel can be used for storage when the cropping season is over, sir. Because that panel is generating electricity. That is one way. So you rightly said about the transportation, sir.
Prashant, if you're putting a 5-ton cold chain, the energy that you produce is much, much higher than what is required for even a 25 horsepower pumping station.
The 2-3 pumps can go, sir, with that. You only need
No, but I
cable.
think you think about it. I'm sure if these guys have been.
We'll ask Ntpc, ICE, etc. to. I mean, we'll just.
India has the advantage. You know, when we.
Grid connectivity, yeah.
Not grid connectivity. The question is, I'm talking of you utilizing the cold storage unit.
Okay.
I'm not talking of utilizing the power that we generate.
Yes, sir.
The idea is the cold storage unit is to be utilized for more than 4 months. And then the storage is maximum at the time of production at 4 months. Oh, Mr. Devendra Gupta is here. Why
Yeah,
don't you please enlighten us?
Yeah.
I'm so happy you are still here.
So we have been able to deploy the same cold room on an asset on lease model to different farmers. Say in the month of December to February, we have leased it to a rose farmer. From March to May, we have leased it to a grape farmer. From June, July, August, we have worked with, say, a dragon fruit farmer. Then in September, October, November, we have worked with a marigold or a chrysanthemum.
So that's important because that kind of
we saw
diversity
in
there in
Nasik.
India. That kind of diversity there, you know, how many places in India will have a rose and a grape? Yes, unless I go to Nasik area, I will not have any grape production. So we have to think of that. How do you make it use? In UP, when we started it, I was Secretary Horticulture and Food Processing in '91. That's when the food processing industry started. But the advantage, we had to introduce vegetable cultivation in the hills because hills were still a part of UP at that time. So when we grew vegetables between November to March in the plains of UP, we grew vegetables between May and October in the hills of UP. And that's how the combination was affected. And so from May to almost like March, it was covered. Then this around the same time, the grape cultivation also started in Maharashtra and rose cultivation. That is the time when greenhouse, glass house were introduced, and that is the time when rose and grape cultivation took up in a big manner in Maharashtra and parts borders of Karnataka. So you have to think of this. How do you make it when you go to a particular country where there is not so much of agricultural diversification? You know, Verma guy did a good job at least to introduce. I said, now, by the way, if it is no secret, how much does 5 ton capacity unit cost?
Sir, in India, if you ask me, like the rate when we talk about sending it to a foreign country, then there are many other charges, etc., that really get involved. So
I was told it's less than 20 lakhs now, 15 to 20 lakhs.
So we have been deploying it even for 12.5 lakhs in Andhra Pradesh at this point in time.
Okay, so even if you put it at 15 lakhs and a cold storage truck will cost you another 15 to 18 lakh rupees?
Yes, sir, you're right. It's around 20 lakh rupees.
20.
Lakh,
So
yeah,
15 to 20, 35 is what? Almost like $50,000,
$50,000, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
$50,000.
Yes, sir.
So if you combine them, at least one thing will happen is if you post both of them in a particular area which produces vegetables, they can be transferred.
Transported. Yeah.
They can be transferred. And unfortunately, I don't know, Mr. Gupta can bear me, we can't combine fruits and vegetables with meat and fish. If meat and fish can be produced, or you can create a system in which when it is required, you can produce meat, we can store meat and fish, and when it is not required, then you can combine. You have to think of those combinations. Because the requirement of storage of meat and fish is very different than the requirement of storage of
fruits and vegetables.
So how you, Mr. Gupta, you have been in this area. I'm so happy that I saw your plant in Verma. Even the Verma guy is also using your things. So you think about it. I think it's a very, to make it financially viable, it's a very useful thing.
So I will just share a couple of things. I think your point around challenges where the agri diversity is not there is very valid. We can look at using the solar panels as Mahapadra sir mentioned for solar pumping. But yes, other than that, we need to think about that. Your point is valid. The second point around...
You know, when you install something on a grant, no one gets into these things. But if you want to do it, make it a revenue model and not grant-based model, then you have to think of how to optimize the income from that. So that is something that you have to see.
Yes,
Devendra, I would like to add that senior advisor has seen your plant in Chhattisgarh, and he has
it is their plant.
witnessed everything. It is their plant.
Okay. Yeah. No, but you know, there's very useful, small, and very handy plant, very good plant. And but today, what you explained to us in your presentation is much ahead of that because you can control the temperature. You can just have to fit in the vegetable crop varieties, and the temperature adjusts itself. Then there is a 36-hour storage and all these things. We are constantly improving, which is very user friendly, very easy to operate.
Yes, sir. I think we are still improving. We are also launching a logistics solution.
Your voice is getting.
For enabling the farmers. So what we have seen, sir, am I audible?
Yeah, now it's fine. Yeah.
So what we have seen when we deploy a big reefer truck for logistics, the problem which happens is, sir, that aggregation of 5 to 6 tons of produce and then pre-cooling of that produce and then dispatch of that produce in a reefer truck itself is a very complex operation. So we delivered around 25 trucks of coriander from Bangalore to Delhi in this season, in the last couple of months. And we helped the farmers who were selling at 60 rupees to sell their produce for 180 rupees in Delhi. So we made that operation possible, but it was very complex operation, sir. If we have to scale it up, sir, what we believe in is that instead of having a refrigerated truck of 5-6 tons, if we are having smaller boxes of 50 to 100 kgs, which can keep cool for around 70 hours, okay, the farmers can send 200, 300 kgs very comfortably. Aggregating that supply, aggregating that demand is not a problem. And so,
this is, long ago I had gone to Kerala to see some Kutumbasri programs. Kutumbasri is a program which is run by
women empowerment.
Women employment in Kerala. And normally the groups of 5 to 10 women who come together, they start a business. So they got into fish harvesting, right? They produced fish. And the kind of thing that you talked about, 80 to 100 kgs, they created those cold storage units. And one of those girls will put it behind her pickup van and drive to the nearest town, wherever she gets the highest price. The same thing we do in milk also. Milk, we put up a series of collection points, chilling plants, what we call chota. They're not really chilling plants, they're collection points, chilled collection points. And one truck goes and picks all of them. And all these chilling plants are of various capacities. Some may be 2,000 liters, some may be 1,000 liters. That's how that. The same thing you can think of. What I'm saying is, if you are thinking of a model, let's not think of a model where we give a grant, we set up a unit, and the unit works for 4 years when you make a film and everyone is happy and everyone speaks good words. How do you make it useful for 8 to 10 months? So that is something, even if it's not the entire 12-month period, can you make it useful for at least 8 to 9 months? That is how it has to be seen. Like Ramesh will say, whenever, if the must run, the capacity utilization is less than 92%, then Ntpc will not go in for setting up a power plant. So if it's less than 90, 95, I don't know how much it now, but if
much reduced, sir, now.
It's reduced now.
Much reduced, yeah.
So otherwise, same thing you have to think about yourself also. No, thank you very much. And I just thought that I'll put these ideas and we'll explore.
Sure, sir.
Thank you again, Prashant.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, sir. We will take leave now.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, Prashant. Thank you. Bye, Ramesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
sir.
Bye, sir.
Very well done. Very bold.
You.
Every week you come up with good programs. This is extremely
Thank you, sir.
Sir, trying to do
All
something.
with your guidance, sir.
I'm sure next program will also be
The
very
next program, we are just working on that. Hopefully that will also come better.
very brave.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Good night,
Zareen.
everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well
Thank
done.
you, Shonliji.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very well, yeah. Very well done.
Thank
You have set a high bar for us.
No, we will do together. Everything we'll do together. That's
Yeah. So now I was joking to Swarinji. I said, now 3-0.
No. Everybody is.
You have scored 3-0. Yeah, we'll work together.
Why you should worry? Gyani ji is there, Sharma ji is there. We're all there. We're all together
Yeah,
with Mahapatra Saab's
all those veterans are there.
direction. We'll do
That's
that.
why I'm not worried. All those veterans are there. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Great. So let's work out for the next one. Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you, sir. Bye, sir. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. I'm closing this session.